So it's been a while and you guys are ready for another badass bikes on a budget? Well, I got one for you, and this one's got all kinds of bonus features in it. So stay tuned. All right, guys, here we are with another Cleveland Moto badass bikes on a budget. And boy, we got a real winner for you here today. This is the 2013 BMW F700GS, and it's about to get confusing because this motorcycle has a 798cc motor. Wait a second. You said it was an F700GS, Phil. What are you talking about, this 798 business? We know motorcycle companies like to lie big. You know, they don't say it's 6.5 inches, they say it's 9 inches. So normally, if something was called an F700, that would usually mean it has like a 650 engine. Not in this case. And I will try to explain it to you in a way that only BMW made kind of make sense. So in 2013, your options for the GS model, the smaller parallel twin GS model, were this F700GS and the F800GS. And just to be super confusing, they both had exactly the same size motor, 798cc motors. The difference being that the F700GS had about 5 less horsepower. No joke, 5 less horsepower. And to compensate for that 5 less horsepower, they gave it a different final drive on the chain drive, which actually I've ridden both of them, and I actually prefer the lower gearing, the different final drive ratio on this bike. It's a lot more fun. It gets up and goes a lot quicker, even though it has this 5 horsepower difference. But when we're talking about something like, 75 horsepower versus 80 horsepower on a bike like this, where we're not going to be riding it at the racetrack, we're not going to be riding it at 7,000 or 8,000 RPM all the time, it's hard to really get into that justification of the change of a 98cc name calling event here. So really, really weird. Again, F700GS, this one right here, the bike we're talking about at this very moment. Now, what does this bike come with? Well, what it normally comes with and what this bike has going for it right now are two totally different things. First of all, this bike has everything. This has every option that you could get at the BMW dealership in 2013 or 14 if you would have bought this bike then. So, let's talk about the safety package. Everyone likes packages, right? Everybody wants to buy a package. Well, the package for the safety package, $795. Now, this bike, when it came out, it was 10 grand even. So this was a $10,000 bike, which was a big deal because that was a little cheaper than the F650GS that was just the year before it. They made the bike more powerful, they gave it all these cool features, and they dropped the price a little bit. So anyone likes to hear that. But in this particular case, the safety package, we've got electronic suspension adjustment. Now that's pretty heavy duty stuff to come in on a very relatively low price point bike. That means that we've got a comfort setting, we've got a sports setting, and we've got a normal setting. And those are all done right here via the button on the left-hand grip. We also have what BMW calls ASC, Anti-Spin Control. And that's their version of traction control. And that traction control is right here on the hand controller as well. Same spot. Interesting thing, this has a tire pressure monitor. So when you're going down the road, you hit the button and it tells you what your tire pressure is, front and rear. That's very cool. And that was on this bike, 2013, 2014. Now, those three things are all in that $800 safety package. And this bike has all those items. How about another package? You've had one package, how about two? The comfort package. This is the comfort package. This is an extra $500 on top of the price. You get the heated grips. If you've never experienced BMW heated grips before, be careful. Don't put them on high. They will run you out. Even on low, you're going to get a very, very warm hands when you're riding the bike. Center stand, that's super cool. So you get the center stand as part of the comfort package. That's neat. You also get the saddlebag mounts. And you get the trip computer. Now the trip computer on this bike gives you the ability with the info button right here on your left hand grip. That button, you hit the button, it tells you your current miles per gallon. It tells you your average miles per gallon. It tells you the average speed you've been traveling. And it does a really cool trick, and that is it splits up the gas gauge. So when you're full, and you run down to below half, then it further segregates itself. It literally goes down into smaller segments so that you can then see with a great degree of detail when you're getting down low. And when you get to that point where we call it reserve, even though this is electronic, 4.2 gallon gas tank at around 50 miles per gallon, that's a 200-mile range. When you get truly low on gas, that trip computer is going to start counting the other way. So when you get down to 0, it's going to then warn you, low fuel warning, and then it's going to go 1, 2, 3. I've gone as much as 40 miles once this thing tells me that I'm out of gas. And it says 4.2 gallons, and I'm inclined to believe that. That seems really reasonable. Let's get back to the saddlebag mounts. In the comfort package, the saddlebag mounts. BMW has always done a brilliant job with the whole concept of expanding luggage. Their luggage expands and stays dry when other luggages that don't expand leak water like a sieve. So this has what they call the Vario saddlebags. And the Vario saddlebags was an $880 option. And at $880, it's quite cheap for what they do. First of all, they're completely lockable and they're disconnectable with just one key. And nice detail at the BMW shop, for an extra $55, you could get your key, your driver's key, keyed to match the bags so that one key did everything on the bike. Check this out. Open up the latch, press the yellow button, bag opens up. Nothing crazy about that. But now you want to make that bag 30% bigger, reach inside, grab the bail, and move the bail down. And now the bag just got 30% bigger. Now, if you don't think that's cool, you've not been riding motorcycles with luggage for a very long time. And I did check, and once you go ahead and expand that bag and make it bigger, my helmet does fit inside there, so that's pretty neat. So it's a functional thing. Keep in mind the left bag is going to be a little bit smaller because that's the bag where the exhaust is, so that's going to be different. Gas filler on this is on the back because the gas tank is under your butt. Gives you that real good center of gravity, center of balance on the bike. More mass lower is always better. Up here in the top is all airbox, okay? Now, this is a 6-speed transmission motorcycle, which means you're running down the road with your 800cc bike, and maybe you're moving along at 85 or 90 miles per hour, which I did. I went down and I looked at how many revs we were turning, and turns out we were only turning about 5,000 revs for those speeds. So this bike was very happy. I did drive the bike from Cleveland to Columbus and back at highway speeds, and I averaged about 48 miles per gallon on that tank, 2 tanks of gas that I used going down there, riding around in Columbus while I was there. We've got a video with that. We're going to link this video to that one, where you get to see me riding along with the Columbus Scooter-Q Rally. It's a motor scooter rally for modern and vintage scooters, and they were nice enough to let me participate on this not quite a scooter. Previous owner did something cool. See this windshield that's bigger than God? It's a Parabellum windshield, and this thing is, it looks a little weird because it is so tall. Turns out at 90 miles an hour for this 6'1" person, it's perfect. It shoots the wind right over my head. My helmet doesn't bobble around. Super cool feature. Really, really neat. I'm glad the previous owner put it on. He also put on his own version of a Scott oiler to keep the chain nice and lubed. And this bike has only about 15,000 miles on it, so it's a very, very low mileage bike. About 480 pounds is what this bike weighs. So just so if you are concerned about the weight of the machine, it's very light for an 800. 480 is very, very reasonable. This bike, when it was purchased new in 2013 or 14, this bike would have cost, before tax and title, around $12,600. We're going to be selling this bike for half of that. And that's when we're talking about badass bikes on a budget. Getting this machine that isn't even 5 years old for half of the retail price at $6,000, give or take, with all of these features. This is a bike you've got to love. It's a bike that does everything. You know how much fun we've been having lately with the NC700XC, with our Versys. We've been having fun with these light touring bikes, and this is a great example of that. Having the traction control, having the ABS system, having the tire pressure monitor, all of this stuff together, these are features you'd expect to find on a 1200 GS, and here they are on this F700 GS. So give us a call at Cleveland Moto. Our number is 216-795-5580. Check out our other videos. As they say in YouTube, smash that subscribe button so that you'll find out when we do post videos just like this. But more importantly, ride fast, take chances.